we are going to nerd out on this channel. Check this out. I have gotten this book. It was really expensive, The Science and Practice of Strength Training by Zaciorski, Cremo, and Mr. Fry. But this is not the topic of this video. I just have it here on my table, and I wanted to let you know, my friends, I quit. And you should too. Now, maybe you're wondering, what is Gregory talking about? What is he quitting? Is he quitting kettlebells? Is he going on the Steve Maxwell arc? No. But in today's training, I have found one particular realization that I want to share with you, which I think many of you can benefit from. We're going to talk about the kettlebell snatch. We're going to talk about my snatch prep, because if you have been watching the last videos, these 10-minute workouts, they're all snatch prep sessions. And we're also going to talk about Bruce Lee. So you are in for a treat. And if you're over 40 and you want to become strong, fit, and lean without going to the gym twice as fast, download my free ebook in the first link in the description. Great veteran, Gregory von Lebe here. I have to set the stage properly. I have to preface this video with Bruce Lee. And after talking about this important realization that I've had from Bruce Lee, it's part of our curriculum in our education, where we teach kettlebell trainers on how to get started in our one-year mentorship. You will understand what I'm about to say and what I am definitely quitting, at least 99% when it comes to the snatch. So let's talk about the 3 stages of cultivation by Bruce Lee. In stage 1, you are innocent and you follow your instincts. This means you're unaware. And let's put this in perspective for a particular exercise like the kettlebell snatch. So the first thing that you do is you discover your cause of ignorance. This happened to me. I was trying to do the snatch in 2019. I've recognized I really don't know how that stuff goes. My movements were unscientific, but they were natural. And I was able to express my true self. And I was innocent in my knowledge, naive in that regard. And my execution was instinctive. So my body just followed a particular formula that my body thought that's best to move. And because I discovered the cause of my ignorance, I reached out to my sensei, Steve Carter. So then I entered stage 2, information and instruction. So I became a Padawan. Steve taught me the mechanical phases of the snatch. So I had to acquire the knowledge by going through the mechanical, biomechanical in our sense, realities of the kettlebell snatch. I was now learning the science of the kettlebell snatch, but my expression was lost. So I had to be put into a box. I couldn't use the exposed way of getting coaching. Exposing means somebody just highlights your flaws and then you move accordingly after understanding where your flaws are. I had to be taught the imposed way of teaching, which means, listen, Gregory, this is what you're doing wrong. This is what the snatch is supposed to look like. Now go and put in the reps. I felt misplaced. The movements felt jerky and everything was unnatural. So I was outside of my actual reality. I was investing thousands and thousands and thousands of reps into mastering the exercise. And I finally entered stage 3. The stage of innovation and inspiration. This is where you become the master. This is where you understand the proper principles. And I like how Bruce Lee coins this. He says, now you've achieved no thingness terminus. And I remember back when I was watching a reel from Brittany Van Schravendijk, when she was breaking down the kettlebell snatch in super slow motion, I was like, wow, she can do this instantly. This is entering flow state at will, because your body is now honed the skill of the exercise, so you can demonstrate it just like this. And here I finally discovered the melting pot of science. So I was able to express myself, and I understand the scientific art of the kettlebell snatch. So now I'm melting these 2 phases together, and now I became unbound, purposelessness. Formless like water. How powerful is this? So I was able to return to my true self. Many people never reach stage 3. Now, I'm not trying to say this to boast, to say, well, I'm actually an expert. That's why I'm at stage 3. I'm so such and much. No. The reason why many people never achieve stage 3 is A, they're not willing to put in the reps, or B, they don't have proper coaching to get the scientific method behind the exercise, or C, a hybrid of both. So it requires a lot of dedication to enter stage 3. This was my recent set last week when I was opting in for, I think, 152 reps with the 22 kg. And I was following the Sergey Rudnev style. And let me break this down. The Sergey Rudnev style means the corkscrew happens where you unlock the bell, twisting the wrist. Boom. I'm lifting my heels up. And now I'm adding the typical Rudnev signature, lifting the other heel up. Did you catch this? Watch. Now both heels are up. So I drop the weight and I have this little dip move. Kettlebell drops, I wait for the connection, backswing, and bell comes back up. And just for you to understand the proper phases of the snatch, once the bell reconnects, this is where a reverse hand insertion happens, where I grab the kettlebell with my pinky in the lower corner, and then my arm reconnects with my body. I catch the bell with my knees. I go into a leg extension as much as I can in the backswing, and then I'm catapulting the weight back up by using leverage mechanics of my upper body and the strength of my right side, using a little bit of a push, a little bit of explosiveness to tilt the bell back up. This is typical for the leverage style. And once the kettlebell reaches the top fixation, I then jump back into the hand insertion. Another thing that I also did was I was adopting Sergey Rudnev's breathing method. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So exhales. For those of you who don't know, my goal is to snatch 139 reps to get MSIC with a 32 kg kettlebell in 10 minutes, and I can only switch hands once. My next goal is Master of Sport, so that's 107. I think I got that in the bag, but I'm also already aiming at the 139 reps to get MSIC, Master of Sport International class, with the next competition that's coming up. And so Dennis told me, Gregory, you got to go back, snatch with the 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. So this is the 22 kg snatch from last week. Now let me show you the 24 version of today. So before the set began, I said two things. I said, thank you, Lord, for a great set. And I told myself to kick monkey brain off the ladder. That's something that Dan John told me. Sometimes you got to kick monkey brain off the ladder. Don't think too much about technique and just move. What happened? And by the way, I was snatching 24 kg 2 days ago with 150 reps, and my goal was 170 today. And maybe I let you catch this. Can you see the difference now? I still lift the heels up, but that dip where I lift the other foot up, it happens maybe just a little bit, but I completely reverted back to my way of snatching. Instead of following the Rudnev method, I now told myself, Gregory, you just do your method, your way of snatching. So the kettlebell drops, and as you can see, yes, I still get into the leg extension, but I also saw from an interesting Instagram account, they were cross-referencing 3 types of snatches, and one type of snatch was rather a hinge movement where you don't go into full extension, so the Russian pendulum is still existing. I catch the kettlebell with the knees, but in the backswing, I don't fully extend them. And I found, even with the 32, this is what my body enjoys the most. So my body is comfortable with that type of snatch. So that's my style. It's kind of like that hybrid approach that I always talked about. And so this is what happens when you are at stage 3. Another thing that I also reverted back, which I think is so interesting, is my breathing technique. So Rudnev says it's all about the exhale. If you do 3 exhales, that's 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. I'm getting ahead of my pace because I'm currently, I think it's approximately a 17 to 18 RPM that I have. So 17 to 18 reps per minute. That means it's always the focus on the exhale. And if you rest, you exhale a fourth time, or maybe you do a deep exhale at the top a fifth time, and then you can gauge what type of pace you're running. It's like a marathon runner. And now I finally recognize that once you've mastered the snatch, it becomes a very cardiovascular exercise in nature. Still, strength endurance. We're still tapping into the potential of strength endurance, but a lot of it is endurance. So I feel none of my strength reserves getting tapped. The only thing that I feel is my breathing. And even my shoulders now better. The 24 kg snatch from 2 days ago was crazy. My shoulder was off. But this time it was way better. So how is my breathing now? It's exhale in the backswing. It's inhale. You can see it in my nose when the bell comes up. And I purposely inhale through the nose and exhale again at the top fixation. And then adding another exhale on top if I want to keep a 17 RPM. And now let me explain the breathing technique that I deployed as I was going for a sprint using a 21 RPM. I was exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. And so it sounds like this. Listen. I was leaving away these inhales through the nose since Dennis told me to get back to the 16 kg. And something felt off to me to a certain extent. And now I recognize that this inhaling through the nose, which seems to produce more nitric oxide, which seems to dilate the blood vessels, which is exactly what we need if we do an exercise like this, I felt the set going way better. And I remember back in my CMS set, in November 2024, I was also using that exhale-inhale method where I exhale through the mouth and inhale through the nose, and I was cranking out 85 reps. 84 were counted in a 5-minute set with a 32 kg. I was going for a sprint in the final minute with 25 RPM with a 32 kg. And funny thing is, I wrote it down here in my book. I said, you know what? I did 152 reps 2 days ago with the 24, and now my goal was 170 with the 24, because I always go slow with my first set and then I go higher reps with my second set because the first set is always getting accommodated to the weight. And guess what? I was able to crank out 177 reps with the 24 in 10 minutes, and I'm really proud of myself. And so with a little formula, I was able to account that with this type of pace, I'm able to crank out 137 reps with the 32 kg. This is the power when you write stuff down. This is the power when you put in a lot of reps, when you try different techniques, and then at the end, you let your body accommodate itself to the exercise and see how far you can go. And so the moral of the story is you should quit trying to copy other athletes' form. Also quit trying to do it exactly like they do it, because in this book, Satsiorsky says that trying to copy an elite athlete's playbook most of the time is worthless because everybody is individual. Yes, we have ground rules. Yes, we have principles. In this book, it's so powerful, so interesting, these principles that they laid out. For example, we have a deloading phase, we have a retaining phase, and we have a stimulating phase. That goes for everybody. You can switch things up twofold, either more sets, higher weights, or more reps, or you switch up the exercise. And elite athletes oftentimes switch up the exercise. And then you have a dilemma, because on one hand, you need to switch up the exercise. On the other hand, the exercise has to be very sport specific and close to your sport. Powerful stuff. So I just started this book. I really I'm taking a lot of notes. I'm writing stuff down. I love stuff like this because it makes sense. That's what I'm a big fan, but I'm digressing. So the essence, whenever you feel like you have to copy me, or you have to copy somebody else, or you do a workout that you see on this channel, and then you think I gotta go Gregory's pace, or I use his technique, or whatever. No, you follow the principles that are laid out. The scientific method for all these exercises, they are given. So this is how you're supposed to move. So you become mechanical. And then once you put a lot of reps in, then you develop a little bit of your own flavor and your own style, and you have to be happy with it. And even in the book, he says, when it comes to elite sports, there's a huge genetic component because there is a law of diminishing returns, even if you train often. And after that point, when you reach a certain threshold, then the genetic component comes into play where just certain people are able to beat you no matter what. So very fascinating stuff. So here's the next thing that you have to do. Clean and press the like and subscribe button. Share with a friend who's also interested in kettlebells. And if you made it this far, download my free ebook in the first link in the description called The Kettlebell Code. If you're over 40, 50, or 60, you don't have a lot of time, but you still want to take care of your fitness, this is where the kettlebell comes in. And I'm going to give you a shortcut to success with my ebook. So what are you waiting for? Download it right now on the first link in the description or in the pinned comment.